This video was made possible by EA Game Changers. Hello there everybody, it is me XfreezerBunny and welcome back to another Sims 4 speed build. So today we're back with yet another early access build for the Sims 4 Cottage Living, and this time we are in the neighborhood of Finchwick here in kind of like the villagey / town center area of Henford. And I don't know why, but for some reason this part of the world reminds me so much of another world in The Sims 3. It was actually a custom player-made world called Cladbridge on Stowe, and exploring this area kind of just reminded me so much of that because I actually played so much in that world. It's one of my favorite custom worlds in The Sims 3, and it just reminded me so much of that area. But anyway, in the last video I did for Cottage Living, I did a starter home, so this time we are building more of like a, small-ish size family home. I say small, it's more of a medium-sized family home in my opinion. It's 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and it's for a kind of like middle-class family with 1 teen, and they're really into gardening basically. So in Cottage Living, there are festivals, and your sim can join them. They can enter their livestock or their crops, and they can win rewards, which is mostly ingredients, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. I haven't actually really won anything. You do win medals though for entering, so that's that. Bragging rights, I guess. But I imagine the family living here to be really into joining the festival competitions, and they're really competitive. That's kind of like the idea I have for them. They're kind of like a more middle class family that kind of like has gardening as their hobby, and yeah, they really are the type of people who take the festivals really seriously, and they're really into it. And the teen is also really into like arts and crafts, so things like painting or cross stitch, they're really into that as well. So we'll talk more about that when we get into the teen bedroom. But yeah, this is the house itself. Really happy with how it came together. I am super happy that I was able to pull off kind of like this rustic cottagey look, because it honestly isn't that easy, because there's a lot of technical limitations that we have to basically work around because it's The Sims 4. But basically what I noticed from looking at reference images from these kinds of like, British cottages is that a lot of them tend to be really stout, and a lot of the rooms are actually located on the roof, which kind of like serves as like the second-ish floor. And obviously The Sims 4 doesn't really work like that. And yeah, I had to kind of like really push it to see what I can come up with, and I'm really happy that I was able to make a fully functional second floor, which is located completely in the roof of this house. And the proportions of this house actually turned out really nice as well, so I'm really happy about that. I noticed that that's something that tends to be really tricky, because yeah, like I said, these kinds of cottages tend to be really stout, and I don't know, just I'm really happy with how it turned out. I like how the roofing is actually really elaborate and also kind of like really simple at the same time, if you get what I mean. It looks really organic, and that was kind of like the vibe I was going for this house. I imagine it to be kind of like a house that was built maybe 100 years ago, and over the decades they have been adding some modern additions to this house as well. There's also a little bit of Art Deco-ish vibes for this house, because when I was researching this, I did see a lot of like craftsman style cottages that have more of like an Art Deco aesthetic to them. Not really aesthetic, but more of like Art Deco accent, because a lot of them were built kind of like during the late 19th, early 20th century. So I feel like a lot of the windows that I used for the exterior kind of like has that almost Art Deco-y vibe, if you get what I mean. So that's kind of like the aesthetic that I went with. And of course at the back there is a modern extension. Really love it. I know that British people love this thing as well. I don't know why, but I've been watching a couple of British dramas actually, which is really interesting. I should talk about that. So a while back I watched Dr. Foster. when I say a while back, this was like in April, so it's like 2-3 months ago. And I was interested because my country is actually doing an adaptation of Dr. Foster, believe it or not. So I was like, you know what, there's quite a bit of hype on this and I literally have nothing else to do. So I checked it out and it was actually really good. Especially the first season. The second season honestly like made me almost depressed because I don't know if I actually enjoyed watching the second season because it got into some really deep, you know, emotional, psychological stuff that I wouldn't really say is enjoyable, but definitely something that was worth the experience in my opinion. But yeah, like I said, it was really good. I really enjoyed it, and I hope my country does justice to it because I know that it's been adapted in other countries as well. So it's a really good story actually. And right now I'm actually watching a Spanish language TV show on Netflix. I literally just started watching it. It's I can't even remember the title. She's basically like it's like a period drama that's set in like the 18th century. She's like the cook. She's like the chef. I've only really seen the first episode. I forgot the name, but it kind of sounds like the chef of so-and-so castle or something. I'm sorry. I'm gonna remember it as I watch it, I promise. But yeah, I like it. I've been really into watching a lot of foreign language shows as well. As you all know, last year I watched quite a few French period dramas, and I've seen quite a few Spanish ones as well. I watched Grand Hotel, which is something that's been recommended so much to me by viewers on the channel. So thank you for recommending that. I actually didn't finish it because honestly, I don't know what happened, but Netflix removed it for some reason. So I was literally like maybe 10 episodes till I finished the 3rd season, but it disappeared from Netflix, which is really weird. But anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. Let's actually go back to talking about the build itself. Like I said, for the exterior, I'm really happy with how it turned out. I really loved the roofing and how all of the thatch kind of came together. I even loved the thatch detail as well that they added with the pack. For the interior, I decided to show you a little bit of the planning / layout aspect because I really enjoy watching people kind of tackle the planning aspect because in my opinion it's probably one of the hardest parts of building, and I've been getting a lot of comments recently from people telling me that they really enjoy seeing my planning process. For those of you who didn't know, most of my professional experience working in the fields of architecture is actually just me working in the planning department. I say planning department, it's literally just me and the one person. It's literally just me and the one senior architect. So it's kind of like a 2-person department, if that even counts. But yeah, like I said, I do have a lot of experience with planning in real life, and I tried to do the floor plans in an efficient way, in a functional way, and also kind of like in a realistic way as well. With all of the limitations in The Sims 4, I tried to kind of keep all of that in mind. And yeah, I decided to kind of dedicate quite a bit of the time for the builds when it comes to the planning, not just for the cottage living builds, but just for all of my builds in general. But for the interior, I did go for more of like a modern vibe. I say modern, but it's more of like a vintagey modern because it's kind of like an eclectic mix of different furniture. And a lot of it is built around that leather sofa. And I know I said some unpopular opinions about this, but I actually do really like the sofa. I kind of just wish that they elaborated more on the sofa instead of giving us just the one. I would have liked to have seen maybe a set. And I know they have like limited resources, but now that I've made my own CC, I can say this. It's not gonna be that resource intensive to kind of just make a smaller version of the sofa and make it into a lounge chair if you already have the mesh for the sofa and the textures and stuff like that. I don't think it would be that resource intensive. But that's just me. I think that more so than the actual resources that gets into creating items, I feel like The Sims has a limit on the amount of space they can package each pack, and I think that's the reason why certain packs have lesser items than expected, because of the space. That's just my opinion, not knowing anything about how game development works. Yeah, because like why else would they give us just the one sofa when it's not really that difficult to make a smaller version and make it into a lounge chair? Because I do like the fact that they gave us, you know, different styles for this pack. It's not just the one style like the Snowy Escape one. The items from Snowy Escape were actually really cohesive, and they gave us like a whole sets of the items, whereas in this one we got like one item from the, yeah, I'm not sure if I actually talked about this in my last video, sorry if this is like all over the place, but yeah, the pack actually comes with two styles. There's a modern cottagecore one, and there's a storybook, like rustic storybook one. I feel like I might have touched on this briefly in my previous video, but yeah, instead of just giving us the one item from both of those, I would have liked a set. Because, you know, the storybook armchair is beautiful. Would have loved to have had it in the sofa. The leather sofa is nice. I would like to put it in like somebody's study or like a library, right? And, you know, would have liked to have had some armchair version of that as well. Yeah, this is just me being very demanding. Don't get me wrong, I like the pack, but I think you probably wouldn't get it for the build items, to be honest. Or the buy items. More so for the gameplay, I feel like would probably be the biggest selling point for this pack in my opinion. And honestly, maybe even the creatism. I feel like Cass is just really amazing, that I feel like that could also be a big selling point for some people. Because I know that a lot of people don't actually do gameplay, just a lot of people just do builds. And you know, if you're not gonna use the chicken coop or like the barn, well, like what else would you want this pack for? But like I said, for someone who really loves the farming gameplay, I absolutely love this pack, and I really enjoy all of the items. And it wasn't actually that difficult for me to do this build, only having base game and cottage living. So yeah, I'm getting all mixed up with my Sims packs, because we did get country living, which was a Sims 3 store pack, and I'm getting so much like flashbacks from that, because by the time country living for Sims 3 came out, I was actually already doing YouTube back then, I believe. So yeah, it reminds me of like my early YouTube days. I definitely made some videos on the Sims 3 store, which are still up on the channel. Please don't watch them. Those were really cringy days. Yeah, sometimes I look back at all of my old videos and I just literally, I just cringe. But also I kind of just remind myself that, you know, I was a teenager when I started my YouTube channel, and now I'm in my late 20s. So this is fun. Forgot to mention this, by the way, in my last video, but a couple of weeks ago, I did celebrate my 8th year anniversary on YouTube. So thank you to all of you for all of the messages. I got so many messages on some of my YouTube videos and also on my Twitter as well. So thanks for that. But yeah, I literally totally talked over the furnishing part of the bedroom and the bathroom, but it's pretty self-explanatory. The bedroom is really chic. Kind of like a mix of vintage and modern, lots of black and white. I do like the floor texture as well, which I used all over this house. And also, I think my favorite room would probably have to be the great room. I just really love that area. I love the kitchen, actually, which surprisingly is mostly base game. Though I did use the lights from this pack, and the lights are beautiful. I keep forgetting to talk about this, but the lights are so beautiful and really trendy as well. I kind of want to use them on like either side of the bed type of thing, because I've been seeing a lot of that on Arc Digest. Yeah, I'm the type of person who watches the videos on Arc Digest, and I might even leave comments from time to time. So yeah, that's definitely a great place to get some inspiration, and actually think I might recreate some of the houses I've seen, because I've seen some really beautiful like country style houses on Arc Digest. So I might recreate them in a future build when I finally get my hands on the pack. I have so many ideas. It's gonna be such a difficult 2 weeks not having country keep saying country living, cottage living, because I've just really been enjoying the gameplay more than anything. And like I said in my previous video, I played like over 30 hours, and I would say maybe half of that is just me doing gameplay, and it's really fun. Also, a lot of people have been saying that I should revisit my Stardew Valley save file or a gameplay let's play, because a lot of people surprisingly still remember that let's play that I did in 2018. So I don't know, we'll see. It's not off the cards at this point, but yeah, we'll see. I'm not sure what else I can do, because I feel like the Stardew Valley gameplay is finished, because basically the main goal of that gameplay was just to finish the whole new gardening career that came with Seasons at the time, because Seasons was brand new back then. So now that we've reached level 10 of that career, I don't know where else I could take the story, I guess. But we'll see. I'm definitely considering it at the moment, but definitely a lot more builds to come in the future. And this is the teen's bedroom, actually. Sorry if I'm all over the place in this build, but as you all know, all of my commentaries are kind of just off the cuff. Yeah, but this is the teen's bedroom. Really liked it. Quite a few hobby items. There is a painting easel and also a cross-stitch item, which I actually haven't explored cross-stitch yet. I just put one of those things in that room so that the teen can probably work on that. Oh, one thing that I forgot to mention is that kids can now cook and also garden as well. And you're probably going to see the whole kid gardening thing in the next video, because that one's also kind of like a family home. Not really a family home, it's more of like a single parent home that's also a farm. Kind of like a hint on what's to come. But yeah, I did do 3 builds for this early access, and I'm not sure when I'm going to put them up. I'm thinking of maybe spacing them out a bit, just so that we can have content over the next week or so. I don't want to space them out too far, because I also want to do other things aside from cottage living. Of course, I'm still working on my Japanese save file, so that's still a work in progress, but I'm probably going to space these builds out maybe a couple of days. So if you check back in a couple of days, there's probably going to be another new build for this pack as well. But yeah, one of the bedrooms in this house is actually furnished as a gym / storage area. So if you really want to, you can kind of pretend that the love seat is like a sofa bed. But yeah, you can easily just throw in a bed in there and call it a third bedroom. I call it a third bedroom at least. Moving on to the landscaping, I kind of went for more of like a overgrown landscaping vibe, which is something that I'm really into. I don't know why, I just really love grassy landscape. That sounds really weird for me to say, but I just really loved the overgrown English garden type of landscaping, which is a real thing, which is basically just more naturalistic. I believe the English garden style is made famous by this landscape architect called Capability Brown. I might be wrong. They probably weren't the one who started it, but they're one of the more famous people who popularized the English garden style in, I believe, the 18th century actually. So yeah, really love history, and it's really interesting how you know, the whole gardening culture kind of evolved and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm using a lot of debug, as you can see. I feel like despite all of the things I said about the builds by mode in this pack, I will say that debug is probably gonna make up for majority of my complaints. So yeah, please don't be offended when I say something not so good about the pack. I mean it in a constructive way. Hopefully it doesn't make me look really you know, entitled to say that, you know, I would have liked this or that. But yeah, I really do like the pack. It's definitely one of my favorite ones, top 3 so far, just in terms of gameplay. I probably have a different top 3, top 5 for like a pack specifically for builders, but that's my honest thoughts on the pack. I love the build items, but like I said, I don't think you'd probably get this for the builds buy. But yeah, definitely the debug category is so amazing. I absolutely love it. I'm interested to know what the criteria is for including certain items in debug that aren't on the regular catalog. I'm guessing it's because debug is basically just, or like the show hidden objects category is basically just a catalog that makes you access things that are in the world. So not necessarily items that are specifically made for the buy catalog category, but the reason I'm bringing this up is that a lot of the plants that are in the debug category are stunning, and I'm really surprised that they're not in the regular catalog. I guess there's some limitations to that as well, but yeah, the plants are beautiful, and I'm glad that we can at least access them through debug, because imagine back when, you know, they didn't do this and we just had to kind of like tantalizingly look at the surrounding plants from all of the other worlds, and we didn't have a way to access them. They unlocked this feature in 2019, I believe. Yeah, when around June 2019 happened, that's when they kind of like did the debug update, which is probably one of the best updates because it just unlocked so many new items. And yeah, so yeah, there's a little garden area over here for growing oversized crops. Probably not the best place to put chickens, to be honest, because, you know, usually chickens would scratch the ground, and I don't think that would be good for crops. I grew up in the countryside, by the way, and we did keep chickens in my family home, and yeah, it definitely drove my mom nuts when the chickens would dig up her plants. So probably not the best place to have chickens in that little fenced in area, but I think it would be a good place just to keep an eye on your chickens, because the fox attacks can get really brutal. And onto the side, there's also kind of like a little barbecue / lounge area as well. Pretty basic stuff, but I think that's actually going to be it for this build. So yeah, I hope you all enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you all have a great weekend, and I will see you guys in my next build. Bye bye!